Hello everyone, welcome to Versioning as Ruth. I wanted to go ahead and make a video kind of in relation to the last video that I did, but it's just a little different. It is about being a Proverbs 31 woman in relation to leveling up. So we talk about leveling up, as Black women, and what does that mean as women, period. But there is a movement going on with Black women about leveling up. So from a virtuous woman perspective, what does that look like? Because it can look different for a lot of us. To some women, leveling up can mean getting a sugar daddy. It can mean getting a man of means to marry. It could mean leveling up in your career if you're very career oriented and you landed the position you wanted. It can mean a lot of things, but the leveling up that I would like to speak on is being in Proverbs 31, it says a wife of noble character. It could be about being a wife of noble character, but you can also replace the wife word with a woman of noble character. And it just depends on where you're at in life. I'm not married, so for me, this is an inspiration to be a woman of noble character. And when I become a wife, then I'll be a wife of noble character, hopefully, and God willing. So I want to go ahead and dive into this. This section is not long at all. And so what I'm going to be doing is reading it kind of the way it's sectioned off in the Bible, paragraph by paragraph. And a lot of these paragraphs are like one or two sentences. But I'm just going to go ahead and break them down and kind of just speak on what it says in regards to quote unquote leveling up or becoming this wife or person of noble character. Okay, so the first few verses says, "Who can find a virtuous and capable wife? She is more precious than rubies. Her husband can trust her, and she will greatly enrich his life. She will not hinder him, but help him all her life." So this part is saying a virtuous woman, and later on it talks about what a virtuous woman means. But a virtuous woman is worth more than rubies. She has a lot of value to her. There is no price that can be put on a virtuous woman. And I'm pointing this out because I want to just go ahead and say a word of encouragement to the women who, and this has been myself included, have been on the receiving end of men who have downplayed your worth. And they have not only I don't want to say put a price on your worth, but they have made it very clear by their actions and verbally they don't believe in your worth. A lot of men are on this a woman, what is she good for? What does she bring to the table? She's not doing this and that. I can do X, Y, and Z by myself. A truly masculine man knows the worth and the value of a virtuous woman. He sees that. It said that she will greatly enrich his life. She will not hinder him, but help him all her life. And so to be a virtuous woman, you actually have to, enrich his life. You can't bring a bunch of drama and, I guess not be doing your part as a woman. I feel like a lot of times we miss the mark when we're talking about femininity and we're talking about, a woman brings this and that to the table. But if you're not acting in a way that is a virtuous woman, well, I'm not saying you don't have any value at all. Definitely not saying that. But there is so much more value in being virtuous over just being a pretty face or over just acting a certain way. To actually be beautiful on the inside is something that is truly beautiful, and that's what matters. And that is kind of like the second part to my first video when I was saying true femininity is not about scamming men, and I was talking about inner beauty, being beautiful on the inside and being virtuous and being kind and a nice person and being a servant to others and taking care of yourself. All of that has to do with being a virtuous woman, and that in that there is value. And so a real man, a real masculine man will see that and appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue reading. It says, she finds wool and flax and busily spins it. She is like a merchant's ship. She brings her food from afar. She gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plan the day's work for her servant girls. She goes out to inspect a field and buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard. Okay, so that's the second paragraph. So, a virtuous woman or a wife of noble character, a person of noble character, is very innovative, and she makes well of her time. So, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if that made sense. She uses her time wisely. So, she finds wool and flax and busily spins it. So she keeps herself busy because she's not idle, and she's also taking care of the house. She gets up early and prepares breakfast for her house. And, this is where the more traditional aspect or traditional mentality comes out is, the woman is taking care of the house. I believe that it is the man's duty to be a provider and protector. Okay, and that includes financially, and then the woman can take care of the house. And that doesn't mean that, that is her sole responsibility, but, she can do other things. She can have a job. She can, of course, I encourage women to have hobbies and everything, but, it's kind of like the house is her domain. And so she knows how to, run her household, okay? And she does things for the servant girls, and this is not, referring to slaves or anything like that. These are girls who work for her. But, she goes out to inspect a field and buys it, okay? And so I think there's a huge misconception about feminine women and having to downplay your intelligence, especially to get higher quality men. That doesn't necessarily make sense, because you have to be smart. You have to be intelligent. You have to, like I said, be innovative and use your brain, because she goes out and buys stuff. She is a businesswoman. She is making transactions. You have to be smart. You have to know some things about other people and how to communicate and, how to make transactions. That's a part of being an adult as well. And so I love that this part encourages that, and that, she's not, now granted, I want to make it clear that there's nothing wrong with a woman being a housewife, because housewife does not equal lazy. Stay-at-home mom does not equal lazy. It does not. But, I like that this encourages a woman who is, working at home. She can do things and have her own hobbies and, contribute to the household. The man is still the head of the house. The man still is in the position where he, at the end of the day, is the one who needs to provide. So if she has to take time off and take care of the kids, or if she needs to rest up or do whatever, it's the man's job to make sure at the end of the day things are all right. But she is still doing things and keeping herself busy. And then the next little section says, She is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She watches for bargains. Her lights burn late into the night. Her hands are busy spinning thread, her fingers twisting fiber. So that's kind of a continuation of what it was saying before. Reading on, she extends a helping hand to the poor and opens her arms to the needy. So that is a big one. It's a big one. She's generous. She's not all about me. I want this, I want that. Husband, do this for me, do that for me. Don't get me wrong. You want a husband who is generous towards you and who will do nice things for you and get you nice things and everything. Nothing wrong with that. But to give to others, that just adds so much, not just to others, but to yourself. Building that character is really a part of being a virtuous woman, a feminine woman. That is super, super, super big. And I just feel like that's one thing that a lot of channels who are speaking on femininity are not touching on. They're not touching on giving back and doing good to others. And, some are. I'm not saying all, but I feel like a lot of them aren't. So this is big, and I'm glad that it says this in here. That was just one verse. She extends a helping hand to the poor and opens her arm to the needy. That was just one verse. And so I just think that's so important. I'm actually going to end on this note. I've gotten halfway through A Wife of Noble Character, that section in the Bible, and I'm going to do a part 2 to this and finish off the rest of it. And then kind of just sum up and recap the whole purpose in talking about this Proverbs 31, A Wife of Noble Character, in regards to femininity, in regards to leveling up, because everything that I just read has to do with you leveling up. A lot of this is leveling up on the inside, and then in part 2 it also talks about leveling up on the outside as well. So I am looking forward to speaking a community where we can talk about these things. And if you haven't watched my last video, which will also be my first video, please go ahead and like that and watch that as well. All right, so I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye.